The second stop in my March 1977 phone trip for the Rock Hill Telephone Company is the 366 step in Rock Hill. This company, the Rock Hill Telephone Company, uses GTE equipment. The tone plants and the switching equipment, with the exception of the ESC in Fort Mill, are all made by Automatic Electric. Automatic Electric, or AE, is the name of the manufacturing arm. I'll be using both terms interchangeably. In an area with AE equipment, the step offices have a kind of sterile sound to them. No background tones or whines or anything, just real quiet, and not much sound between ringtones either. And if you listen to the ringtones that Rock Hill Telephone has used, it's like a primer on AE step ringtones. There's the typical one. Ah, yes. The obnoxious one. It's loud no matter how low you turn down the volume. And then my favorite ringtone from AE Steps, the West Los Angeles ring. That is the tone plant 366 that we're calling from has. Nice tone. But in an AE step, you almost never hear anything in between the tones. Now that's edited. That's more times than I would dare let a phone ring from here, where you have to put a dime in at the beginning of every call, and there's no supervision, Grace. The system here is real dial tone first in a very simple but effective implementation scheme. This is the one thing that's not like GTE around here, the way they handle dial tone first.
Well, I just have to have your name.
First name.
Yes.
Okay, that too is unlike GTE, but anyway, back to the dial tone first. I'm going to dial my own 7-digit number, which will result in a busy signal, and I'm going to do it with a coin in the phone. Thus, the call will be allowed to go through. Unlike the AE semi-dial tone first system, which always makes a central office click when you put the dime in, this DTF system is more subtle. No click. Now, if you dial a number without the coin in, the dial tone actually breaks. But after the third digit, there's simply no more response to anything dialed. And that's all she wrote. No recording, no tone. You just have to figure it out. The first thing I tried was dialing 1, 2 without a coin. For what it's worth, in that case it stopped responding after the second digit. As it turns out, the same device seems to be being used to prevent 1+ dialing from a coin phone, because when I deposited a coin and then dialed 1, 2, 1, I got left high and dry in the same way. So the dial tone first and the toll restriction seem to be accomplished in one unit. Here's a ringing number in this 366 step. a local call dialed with a dime in, which the DTF device will let through. I have to say it's really nice to be dialing from an AE step and to be able to pretty much hear the selector noises without interference. I think the DTF device may be adding something to the first 3 digits, but the last 4, I've never heard that before. The reason is I've only used AE steps from payphones. There was always that semi-dial tone first thing on the line messing up the sound. But these last 4 digits sound the same as if I were dialing from a home phone, which I've never done on GTE. Rock Hill's the first time I actually heard that clearly. Cool. Anyway, 366 has no 0,000 group. At the moment it's busied out. I don't know whether it always is, but here's dialing 3660. There's only one intra 366 call left, but before I play that, let's compare it to another instance of West Los Angeles ring, this time from a heavy GTE area, the Tampa Bay region. Here from St. Petersburg, Florida, an AE step with the 102 director system that we knew from the Elizabeth City area, but here's GTE using it in their home territory to complete a call to one of their AE steps with this same tone plant. On this particular example, the director sets up the route after the first 2 digits of the exchange code. I let it time out, revealing a sound that suggests it's going through a number 1 EAX. And there's that sound. That's a number 1 EAX, which as I'm dialing will be completing the call to the step. By the time I dial the last digit, we will arrive shortly at the destination office, which is a step with West Los Angeles ring.
We're sorry you've reached a number that's not in service at this time. If you feel you've reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. 546.
Back to Rock Hill, South Carolina. Here's that ring on an intra-office call. One thing I learned on these phone trips is that operators, for whatever reason, don't like to cough up the information on what's a local call, often requiring me to ask again and even again, is that all? Here's an example.
Can you tell me what exchanges are local calls from here?
We have 366, 327, 324, 328.
Anything else?
Not in Rock Hill. Got 548, 547 in Fort Mill.
Are there any other towns that we can call locally from here?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, the York, 684.
684.
Right.
Okay, is there anything else?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Finally. And that last call shows this really is true dial tone first. I was able to dial operator without depositing a coin. In the Tampa Bay area, we actually heard that sort of whining noise of a number 1 EAX as we were dialing into it to arrive at a step. Here we have a number 1 EAX in the local calling area that we can dial right into. It's not used as a way to reach a step, but it'd be interesting to know whether it makes that same noise when it's receiving our digits. And calling from this step, we can certainly find out. Here's a call to 324. Let's see what happens. Aha! This isn't easy to hear under the tape noise, but it's there. Oops! I did run the tape back, so the coin collect was not recorded on that call. But yes, it makes the noise. Here's another call to the 324 number 1 EAX. It started to ring just as my tape ran out. And that's where the tape ran out. 327 and 328 are apparently in the same step in Rock Hill. Here's a ringing and a busy number in 328. AE steps are especially noteworthy for the fact that when a phone is ringing, you don't hear the phone line. Typically, no matter how long or short the line is, and no matter what equipment is on the line, the ringtone the caller hears always sounds the same. To give you an idea of what AE steps are not like, let's go back to Windsor, North Carolina, an independent step that is most certainly not AE. In Windsor, every phone line was a little bit different. Some had equipment on them, some were long, some were short, and boy, could you hear that on the ringtones. You sure don't hear that kind of variation around here in Rock Hill or in any other area where there's a lot of AE step. The connectors in AE step apparently maintain a complete separation between the telephone line and the audible ringtone the caller hears. That's not true in many other electromechanical switches where you're actually listening to the phone line through attenuation during ringing. Some AE steps even use a completely separate ring signal that's not even in phase with the audible tone. Normally, you wouldn't even notice that, but every now and then in an AE step, you get a connector that does, in some way, allow the caller to hear what's going on the phone line during ringing. But that's the exception. The next call, to 327, seems to be one of those exceptional circumstances where hum can actually be heard during the ring. I was ready to chalk that up to some sort of a central office condition that had nothing to do with the phone line. But then I saw that one of the calls to the 547 vacant number had hum during the ring, and once the ring tripped, you could see that the intercept line itself was indeed hummy.
This is a recording.
I don't have enough recordings of AE steps right at hand, or maybe in my collection, to be able to formulate a rule about this, but I can certainly tell you that the ringtones in AE steps never, despite an occasional hum like that, they never vary, as we see in Bell System offices and in Windsor. Now here's the complete 327 call featuring the hummy ring. .328 can be reached another way, by dialing 6 and then 8. Here's dialing 68 plus 4 more digits, which rings a 328 number. Here's a comparison of the ring we got dialing 328 plus 4 digits with that ring just now reached on 68 plus 4 digits. Identical. In fact, 328 and 68 both go to the exact same place. This is a selector in the step that handles 327 and 328. Since you can get to this selector by dialing either 328 or 68, we were able to ring a 328 number by just dialing 68 plus 4 digits. However, there is no 328 4000 group. That's because that level is needed for a secondary function of this incoming selector group, and that is it's the tandem through which we reach York 684, a Bell System point that's in the local calling area. In STEP, you have the luxury of being able to set up your selectors so that customers reach them at different points in the dialing process. So if a customer dials 328, he winds up here just in time to catch the 4th digit of the number he's dialing. If he dials 68, he winds up in this same place just in time to catch the 3rd digit. Now there isn't any 328 4000 group. That frees up the 4 level on that incoming selector group so that this incoming selector can act as a tandem to reach 684 from here. Now this time we did get here by dialing 68, but it doesn't matter. Let's dial a 4 to go through to York. Now I'm going to dial the digit, but right at the end of the digit, you'll hear the cut-in sound to the York trunk. Just notice what this upcoming cut-in noise sounds like. Here goes. That was a 328 selector cutting in. Doesn't sound close, but it doesn't sound especially far away either, because that was heard by us over a wire trunk within Rock Hill. The next selector we hear will be in York, and that's coming to us through 2 trunks. So it does sound far away compared to that last one. Here goes. I don't know if everyone's going to hear that, but I'm listening through headphones, and I can tell that's coming from down the line a bit. Let's dial the rest of a York number. It's good to be hearing some bell system equipment for a change. Gee, when was the last time we got a local call through to a bell system point? Ah, Fuquay Varina, calling into Raleigh. There you go. But there weren't any of those. That is the kind of small step that the bell system uses, except it's the newer kind of tone plant. Here are 2 more calls to York 684. On the first one I get a hummy trunk, which I abandon. On the second one I dial a vacant level, and we get a recording, which is very talkable. You can hear another caller coming in, first with a 2600 controlled trunk, pulsing the last few digits over the recording, and then you can hear voices from the caller's location.
I'm sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time. If you need assistance, please hang up and dial your operator. This is a recording. I'm sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time. If you need assistance, please hang up and dial your operator. This is a recording. I'm sorry, the number you...
Now let's call Fort Mill, where we were before. The calls from here to Fort Mill go through some intermediate step. From the sound of the trunks, I'd say it's the 327-328 step. It's a hummy wire trunk that sounds just like 327 and 328, and we get it on the digit 5 of the Fort Mill codes 547 and 548. In the intermediate step, the 4 is absorbed, and then the 7 or the 8 go through to Fort Mill step or Fort Mill ESC respectively. This differs from what I would expect to find, which would be that the Fort Mill step is the intermediate step to reach the ESC, but no, that is not the case. 5 goes to the intermediate step, and then the 7 or the 8 goes to the appropriate Fort Mill entity. First, 2 calls to the 547 step. This is an office that doesn't seem to have any subscribers. Every time I dial a working 1000 group, I end up getting that intercept recording anyway. Here's a blocked level in 547 and then a vacant number.
This is a recording. You have reached an incorrect or discontinued number. Please consult your directory or call directory assistance to obtain the correct number.
Now here's a call to 548, the ESC. What follows reminds me of something I found in the Charlottesville, Virginia area back when I was dialing from my first AE step in downtown Charlottesville. It used to be from the downtown Charlottesville step, you could dial 823 for Crozet and then 61, and you'd go into a dial speed check test line very similar to this one. I think you could even access it from the long distance network. At some point in the mid-70s, the dial speed check disappeared from Crozet and I was disappointed. But here's one, very similar, recorded locally in Rock Hill.
This office has a dial speed check. It's on 112, and when you hear it, it isn't going to sound like much of one. But it actually does work in a sense. So what I'm going to do is dial 112, and when I get the tone, I'll dial first a 0 that's too fast, and then a 0 that's too slow, and then a correct speed 0, and you'll see the response that it gives, which isn't much, but it works.
There, did you catch that? That was the indication the dial speed is correct. I'll do it a few more times. Here's a brief call to 113.
Directory assistance, your number.
119 is the callback circuit. Here's 119 plus my 7-digit number. In spite of the fact that there's a coin return at the end of my call, the call actually does come in. Notice how the callback circuit is still here. In some offices, the callback circuit drops at the end of the long ticking tone, leaving the caller on some sort of lockout relay. Here, I'm going to have to hang up a good long time to make it drop. In the callback circuit, the phone freak sees a ticket out of town, a way to get into the outside world network. Sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't. Sometimes you can use it to make local calls without paying a dime. I didn't explore all of those possibilities here, but I did discover that I can reach the operator through the callback circuit. I dial 119 plus 36. Those are kind of ordinary digits, plus 0. I'm not sure the 36 was necessary, but in any case I did get the operator, who didn't know that I was calling from a coin phone. I asked her to connect me to a non-working number in Long Island, and then she threw me a curveball.
Are you calling from a hotel?
What?
Now, just having given my first and last real name a few minutes earlier, I decided to get out of the situation, not quite sure what she was seeing on her board. And so I did in the usual callback circuit way, which many listeners will be well familiar with. But this does show you can get the operator from a coin phone without her thinking you're calling from a coin phone. Here goes.
Operator,
Yes.
could you get me area code 516-593-9083?
Are you calling from a hotel?
From a hotel? Why?
I said, are you calling from a hotel?
No, I'm not.
Okay, what's the number you're calling from then?
66.
Are you dialing?
Am I what? Hello?
What number you calling from? Let me call you.
Okay, call me back on 366. No.
Next, I tried 119 plus 1, for obvious reasons. But to increase the chance of it working, I tried dialing an absorbed digit 3 before the 1. Okay, 1 doesn't work. Now the local time number is a 327 number. What if I just dialed 27 plus 4 digits into the callback circuit? That might work. Two didn't work either. Oh well, so let me just dial a few more digits to fill it up so it'll superimpose the busy signal on this reorder. Why not? Huh? Nothing happened. It's as if it doesn't count digits. It's supposed to. I'm up to like 10 digits and it is still letting those pulse right through to the switching train. This is a malfunctioning callback circuit. So there is a malfunctioning callback circuit in the 366 step, and there might be a way to get into the 1 trunk. I haven't tried everything yet. Now, I got through to the operator by dialing 36 and then 0. Meanwhile, I'm here at night at a shopping center, which is, as most shopping centers were in the South at the time, dreadfully under-telephoned, and someone needs the phone. So I'm going to let her use it while I think go find another phone. And in the meantime, I'll have a second to think what to do next. Okay, I found out that 5 dialed into the callback circuit opens it up so you can dial a 1 next. They've modified the switching train that the callback circuit uses to prevent local calls from being dialed through it. So 5, instead of heading off toward Fort Mill, absorbs. So we'll just use it to get into the 1 trunk. 5-1. First, I want to try dialing a vacant code into the long-distance trunk to see if the long-distance tandem will give us a recording. For that, I'm going to dial 119 plus 51 to get into the long-distance trunk, and then 311. It's not going to turn out as I planned. Instead of a recording, there's going to be a mysterious tick-tock tone, followed by what sounds like a ring trip, followed by silence. We've heard something similar to this in other places, and I really don't know what it is. Time to try something more conventional now, dialing a long-distance call through the callback circuit. Now, not all of the callback circuits have the malfunction that lets you dial more than 7 digits into them, but one of them does, and we'll get it eventually. So here's 119 plus 5, that's to unlock the selector, 1 to go into the toll trunk, and then I'll start to dial a New York City number. If I get one of the usual callback circuits, I'll be interrupted by a busy signal at some point in the dialing. Okay, this is one of the normal callback circuits, which at this moment I don't need. But the good news is that when I hang up, it's going to stay busy for about 90 seconds, trying to make the reverting call that I told it to make. That means the next time I dial 119, I'm going to get one of the other callback circuits, and it might be the one I'm looking for, that has no digit limit. If I keep repeating this process, sooner or later I am going to get the one I want. Got another normal one. That's okay. This one will be busy too for about 90 seconds after I hang up, and then I'll probably get the one I'm looking for. Meanwhile, this one and the last one will clear by themselves so that if anybody needs them for a normal party line call, they'll be there.
Number.
366 something something 99.
Thank you.
This is Ben's phone ringing, and he could answer it without making a toll record. I don't know where he was during this phone trip, but I don't think I ever got him. Well, that's it for what I recorded from 366. The next program is the only recording I've ever made from a number 1 EAX. I didn't appreciate it at the time. I really should have spent some more time. But there's a nice little sampling of calls that'll give you a good sense of what those sounded like. Sort of like an ESC, but not as interesting because it didn't let you hear the outpulsing. But there's some cool stuff in there anyway. 803-324, the Rock Hill 1 EAX, next.